Hello, bonjour à tous. Welcome to the Sustainable Software Stage. I'm really happy to introduce this track today. And we're gonna have a really busy schedule. So we're gonna go right away with Isabelle Albert, who wrote a book called Tech It Green, Tech IT Green, where she talks about the benefits and the impacts of the digital world. She also founded a startup studio called Satgana, if I pronounce it well, to help and fund entrepreneurs with solutions for the climate emergency. Welcome, Isabelle, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. I am very excited to be with the API community. Although I cannot see you, I can feel the energy, and warm thanks for having me and for the discussion, because what we are going to discuss today could seem to be a bit far from your all-day work, but in fact I will try to discuss with you how the softwares you're building, the API you're building, can have a huge impact on climate change and why it's important to start now. So just a few words. I said I wrote a book about this issue because I am also a tech professional. I was the vice president of a professional organization regionally for tech professionals, and I worked for more inclusion with girls in tech. I launched tech events, and I'm on the board of a French tech, and I'm now launching a climate fund for climate startups. So see, if you have projects, Satgana will be happy to work with you and fund you. Just this said, why are we having this discussion this morning? Actually, because there's emergency. Our planet is burning. It's not in a few years. Can you see my screen properly?
No, we're not completely in full mode, sorry.
It's not in a few years?
We can only see the...
So I should reshare, right?
Presentation mode. I think you probably need to reshare in presentation mode.
Okay, well.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Maybe I will do full screen.
Is it okay? Can you do it in full screen?
Is it working?
That sounds great. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Yeah? Is it
perfect?
Okay, just tell me if it's not. So climate change is happening now. And the fact is, we can no longer wait for our leaders to take action on this because, well, G20 leaders were throwing cones away inside the Trevi Fountain for climate luck, which means now, as the Glasgow COP26 a few weeks ago did not really achieved to find solution to climate change and led us on a track not to reach the 1.5 degrees of global warming. It's now up to us. The takeaway of this COP26, of what's currently happening in the political sphere as per climate change, is that it's up to everyone, wherever you are in your expertise, if you are in tech, if you're in finance, if you're in consumption and retail, it's up to each of us to take action with our expertise to change things and to achieve a lower carbon economy. So why would you say, why should I move? Or why is it so important? Because we only have 10 years to make a difference and to avoid a 2-degree world. And a 2-degree world is a burning planet. And it's already happening. You have seen the pictures this summer of the floodings in Germany and Belgium. This is Greece. You saw the heatings in Canada. We are talking here about a livable world and the world we are leaving to our kids, but also for ourselves. It's because we entered the period we call Anthropocene. So it's a new unofficial geological time, which has been created by human activity and the impact we are making on the planet's ecosystem. Just taking a few examples of this impact, we all know about the greenhouse gases. There's a huge impact on the ocean, the warming of the ocean, 40% of loss of diversity, deforestation. The water using is increasing, and we are getting water depletion. This is what a +2-degree Europe looks like. I mean, if you have a habit to go to Brittany or a house in next to Bordeaux in Pilar, well, forget about it. It won't be there anymore. It's just, these are not just words. Climate warming is a reality. A +3-degree planet climate increasing would mean more than 100 million of people on the roads as climate refugees. As you can see, Europe would be part of this. I mean, people in France, people in Netherlands, people in Belgium, people in Denmark. So our house is in fire. And as we can no longer wait for our leaders, it's up to us, wherever we are in our works, to take action. And the good thing is, as software people, API people, what you do is make people's lives better with your tools you're developing, better and easier. And well, tech can bring a solution to tackle climate change. And the whole day today will be about this. How do you do? What proposals can you make? Monitoring carbon emission consumption, energy consumption. But there's another thing about it. It's a huge opportunity. You are, as software people, in the middle of a sixth wave of innovation. And this innovation is the one bringing together climate challenges, clean tech, green tech, climate tech, with new technologies, IoT, AI, the softwares, the API that will enable all these to function properly and efficiently. So there's a lot of money currently going out there, and it could be a huge opportunity also for new businesses you could launch or help launching. But there's a reverse part to this money coin, namely IT pollution. We cannot say we are going to develop a lot of technologies without having to help tackling climate change, without really having a look at the real impact of what we are doing. And the fact is, tech is the seventh continent in terms of environmental footprint. It's already making up to 4% of carbon emissions in the world. So every year you have +9% of energy consumption every year. And digital, you know it, but a lot of people are not aware yet, is not immaterial. It's very physical. Just if we take a few figures here, I won't go through all the figures, but the digital world weighs 223 million tons. It's 5 times the number of cars in France. So if you relate to the automotive industry, you can see how heavy all these materials, these devices, the smartphones, the sets, the connected objects that are exploding are weighing. And this is just to show that you're most aware of it. The figures about the number of servers, of data centers, and the 34 billion equipments. That means that we have so much more equipment than human people in this world. And then all the network you need, the fiber routers, the relays, the WAN and the LAN equipment. This all is physical, and this all is having an impact. The global digital environmental footprint, these are 2019 figures, is showing that it's about between 4 and 5%. So we had 8% of green gas emissions, 42% in terms of energy, 5% in terms of electricity consumption. So it would, in terms of green gas emissions, it's like 1.5 billion French employees going to work for a year by car. This is huge. And the thing about it, it's increasing. And it's not only about the way we use our devices or we consume data, it's also how we buy new devices, because 90% of the total energy consumption measured while you have your smartphone, for example, occurs before you buy it. So it's already done before you start using, as a usual consumer, your smartphone. So let's take what we call a life cycle approach. That means from the beginning to the end, from the moment I extract the minerals, I manufacture the device, then I sell it, I consume it, and then I have the waste. And we say we recycle, but I would like to make you aware that most of the time when we say recycling our devices, it means they end up in Africa in very bad conditions. And they're not that much recyclable for some of them. So taking the first approach, it's extraction. I need these minerals to develop my computers, my devices, my sensors for IoT. Well, to extract these minerals, we will talk a bit more afterwards, like cobalt, lithium, etc. These means destroying a lot of natural ecosystem. In Chile, for example, copper industry, mining industry is just destroying huge villages. They have ghost villages. People have gone away because the water was so polluted they could not stay anymore for agriculture, for farming, for themselves. There's a huge impact in terms of biodiversity loss. I think you know about the bad conditions in the mines, especially kids' labor, and when water is so totally lost for other uses. As for manufacturing, you have here the way when you want to manufacture a smartphone, how all the implications worldwide. So it's obviously not super sustainable, and that's how you can understand that 90% of the impact is already done before you buy your smartphone. And moreover, we don't know yet about all the products that are used, and there have been some assumptions that producing the smartphones in China had led to some sanitary issues, and there has been the scandal about workers, aid workers that had a lot of leukemias due to clinical chemicals and benzene, for example. So when you want to have the latest iPhone, it does have an impact on someone else's life. And this is where we come in, how we consume. We use a lot of data, and I'm not going to tell you because you're so much aware of this. It's about 5 million research on Google every minute. Love is posted more than 23,000 times a minute. This is huge. And if you have a look at the figures, it's just increasing expansively, because before data were mainly about enterprise, work, voice over IP. And now you have all these social media. We are just texting the whole day, WhatsApping and sending pictures. And now with the Internet of Things revolution, it's fully exploding. And we are not yet by 5G, and we know it's going to be a huge revolution. And the data and the devices going with them are going to have an increasing impact. And as I said, it's not just data, it's what goes with the data. That means the data centers, and data centers today are responsible for 1% of the total electricity demand worldwide. And the increase in data traffic per year is plus 61%. So you can see this curve is just exponentially growing, and well, the impact in terms of CO2 emissions is huge. So one example is about video, and we are all looking Netflix, and since Netflix, there has been a few questions about, is this making carbon emissions even worse, because if you know the Shift project, which is a French think tank, super interesting because they try to measure things, and one of their studies showed that 10 hours of high definition video comprises more data than all the articles in English on Wikipedia in text format. So when you put a video on internet, think about it. I mean, is it too heavy? Does it make sense? Because in 2018, online video generated as much greenhouse gas as Spain. Yeah, as one full country. It's amazing. And looking at our own consumption, we look at funny things on the internet, right? But what is the impact? Is it a climate change nightmare? As I said, just a few words about blockchain. We talked a lot about blockchain as a solution to climate change. They are good initiatives, but we have to be aware that the Bitcoin rise could lead to a carbon footprint equivalent to the size of London. And the way we mine today is very carbonated. That is to say, working with energy that is not green. So mining Bitcoin is using much more megajoules than gold, and much more carbon emissions today. And again, it's not saying blockchain cannot be useful for green purposes. It's just thinking about the carbon footprint. And there is something where we say, well, we have improved the energy efficiency, we have improved the way we consume, especially in our data centers, energy and cooling, because this has a mega effect on energy consumption. The bad news is there is a rebound effect, a take-back effect. Think about smart cities. The more I will make my city efficiency for the cars to get out of the traffic, the more there will be cars in my city and not bikes. So I think about the efficiency, the energy efficiency, especially in data centers we make. They then have this rebound effect where we will consume even more and produce even more data. And here we arrive to e-waste. There are 53 million metric tons of e-waste. I showed you here in Ghana, it's just a nightmare. Look at a few videos. You have kids going there, people living here burning copper cans to try to get the copper back and making themselves ill with all the fumes out of it. When we say recycling, more than half of all the e-devices in Europe are unofficially sent to these kinds of e-waste cities or centers. It's not even a center. So just think about it. When you want the latest device, you really need to change your iPhone every 2 years, or your Samsung, or your Huawei. It's just something to think about it. We do not see the impact of what consume. And one other thing is about all the minerals in our smartphones. Of course, we think recycling is the next frontier, but many of the minerals we are using are not recyclable. For one, because it's very difficult, and then often they're melted together to make our devices very thin and light, and it makes it even more difficult to be able to recycle. That means that at some point we may not have enough, or they will become more and more expensive. If you have a look at copper, in fact, it's growing so fast, our annual use, that there's appearance of current reserves would no longer be in 40 years, but it could be in 26 years. If we go on with this annual consumption, according to ADEME, which is not an NGO, but the French state and environmental agency. So it's really a question of how sustainable is our internet and minerals consumption. If we want to have a good internet that is cheap, that means equal for everyone, and not an internet that is more expensive, and then with increasing discrepancy in the use of internet, we have to think today of how we use internet. And indeed, this issue about rare earth metals, of course, I assume you know about this, and we must think about it also as users, and it has other consequences. It will be the new oil. Like, we could go into next geographical conflicts due to minerals. When the US went away from Afghanistan, China started to take some positions there because there's a huge potential in terms of copper and iron. So you can see there are geopolitical stakes here. And Tesla, a few years ago, wants the US government saying that there might be shortage in battery minerals. And think about it, Elon Musk said, we have to slow down internet because I need more minerals for my EV, that means electric vehicle batteries. So there might be a fight between also different usages in the new technologies. So is winter coming? Just for your interest, because I think it's super interesting, you have people who have developed collapse OS, saying that if our civilization collapses, if we have issues with energy and metals, they have developed an OS that could run with very little resources. So now, taking about action, you will be talking about action all day, but just a few stakes. We have been talking in the last years about green IT, and now and more we talk about responsible tech. Just to give a figure, 54 to 130 million phones are still sleeping in our drawers in France, and 2/3 of them are still functioning. And just in terms of business, there's a lack here. So there's so much to do about it. Usually we say, first think, refuse to rebuy, try to repair, reduce your consumption, reduce and recycle. Well, you can intervene at the very first, rethink, and then also reduce. And it's super interesting, and there's a lot of innovation to go for here. Just one use case, there's so many out there. There has been an experiment called Green Concept in France with the Chambre de Commerce Occitanie, ADEME, APL, and Green IT. They work with 28 enterprises, 100 employees. And they managed to show that you could reduce your environmental footprint and do minus 60%. That means to say, for the same service, you could divide by 3 the resources you use. So it's super interesting. You can make your flow much, the number of clicks, how directly people arrive to the information. And this is all about design. It's about getting rid about digital fat. That means all the unnecessary layers. So this is where developers, designers come in. They have launched a project called Nega Octet. If you're interested in that, there are many things on their website. So of course, there's so many tools now, the last 2 or 3 years, to measure your IT footprint, but mainly to eco-design. I think you will have a few conferences on this today, the whole day. So just putting you for a few things. Of course, 2 references are Green IT and Institut du Numérique Responsable, that we'll talk afterwards. You have people that work on the internet we can afford. You have people working on how to build a low-tech website. Super interesting, because it opens new doors of how we develop and design and conceive, and the user experience. And it opens a lot of new business opportunities. I love this. Back Market is our new unicorn in France, and they say new is old. There's a huge revolution to make here about tech consumerism market, and I think French and Europe are leading in this. So we can make we have a blue ocean also. It's opening new fields. Like, for example, just one example, you have a few actors here who came together and tried to offer an end-to-end user experience from the sustainable smartphone, a COP mobile with open source operating system, and then a cooperative electronics rental service. That means that today, if you come together, different startups, different companies, you can offer a very different user experience that is less polluting. So the question after this is, what about you? The projects you are working in today, they might be related to energy consumption, to different usages, but they might also be just on other stuff. And you could still think about the way you develop these on a less polluting way. So just create, please fight against greenwashing, truly. And to do this, measure the real impact and be demanding. Be demanding with yourself, be demanding with your IT company, with your clients, and with your society. So, as we usually say at Satgana, the world needs dreamers and the world needs doers. But above all, the world needs dreamers who do. And I hope we will be in that journey. Many thanks.
Thank you, Isabelle. Great introduction for the whole day as well, because we're going to have a whole day, as you said, talking with all those people who try to evaluate the impact of IT, of the digital world. Thank you again, Isabelle. Bye-bye.